can you start with the daily COVID update, and then just talk a little bit about what you'll do in practice today, and will this be the more back to normal?
Yes, nothing to report on the COVID front. We will be outside today. It'll be a full Thursday practice. We'll be in shells because, obviously you get to this time of year, you only have so many padded practices left. So full Thursday.
How many padded practices do you have left?
2.
What do you anticipate Tony being able to do today?
This kind of will go as how he feels. He's going to give it a go today, and we'll see what the workload is once we get going.
How much did he do yesterday?
He was there. Obviously you saw the type of practice we were in. So, but more, the most important thing he did was work with Britt yesterday. So, getting better.
How different is their offense without Jones than what you guys saw back whenever you brought over?
Just the quarterback options and the RPOs, they're definitely a lot higher, conceptually. But obviously they've had a play caller change, so there's been a slight adjustment there. And so, Dan and the staff have spent some extra time going back and looking at Freddie Kitchens' pass. We've been watching some Cleveland tape and things like that. So, just trying to be ready for whatever direction we feel that they may try to go offensively.
In your experience with that, when there is that midseason coordinator change, how much does the offense actually change?
How much what?
When there's a midseason coordinator change, how much does the scheme change?
Well, I don't think the scheme can, really change a whole lot. I think it's more variation of scheme, tendencies, more situational preference on, how people like to call the game. I just think it'd be very difficult to, go to a wholesale change at this particular point of the season.
As we were walking in for interviews yesterday, we saw Dak working extra with the receivers, the top 3 receivers. Have they been doing that the last couple of weeks, or is that something more emphasis this week?
Just trying to be, smart with our time. I think as the practice decreases, we've increased more of the individual part of it, whether it's pre-practice and our post-practice segments has been extended. So just trying to make sure we're hitting all the concept, the route details. It's just really, the answer to the question is more part of how we're practicing today.
Route details, how big of a part has that been for some of the struggles that we've seen in the passing game?
Well, it's always part of your focus. We're not going through anything different that hasn't happened, and I know in my past. So you're always trying to get the spacing right, the depths right, tilting it towards matchups and things like that. But conceptually, you have the things you believe in, and Kellen and his staff have done a really good job, and we're playing against a multiple defense this week. Last time we played the Giants, they ran every front in football. So, that's part of it. Their coverage emphasis is completely different from the first game to this game as far as what they've done in of late. So that's really what we stay on top of. But, as we go through the install phase today and complete that, we just – we cannot spend enough time on ourselves, Scott, because, you're always trying to clean your own house. That's always an emphasis, especially this time of year.
If the coverage emphasis is different, is that unusual to see in a division opponent from within a season?
I think it's just part of who they are. Patrick Graham, just having past experience with him. You understand his background and some of the things he's done in the past, but they've gone to some different coverage concepts, at mid-season, and I think it's I don't know why. That's something that's probably answered internally, but it's definitely a challenge when you look at the volume of the things they do.
Mike, you've reached the time of year when the league starts putting out playoff scenarios and clinching formulas.
I hate to cut you off. With great respect, we can't talk about that till next week. We have to get to 10 wins, right? All right. So it's not a guarantee. I'm just saying, when we get to 10 wins, we can talk about it. So.
Dan mentioned how on Monday Mike had texted him, "What do we have next?" How much, as a coach, do you love seeing that from a player when he's already ready to start planning for the next day?
I love the confidence of our football team right now, and I think it's just like anything. you got to handle the success of being, victorious each and every week. And I think that's why Mondays are important. I think it's important to, just stay in tune with your evaluation process, because it gives you clarity and gives you the real opportunity to grow. So yeah, but I love the confidence of our football team right now.
When you're in a period where you've had the struggles like you've had offensively, in the past, have you found if you can establish one thing or one person and then go from there, it kind of helps you get back on track? Or do you still just have to go wherever it starts to click, let's just go from there and we'll build on that?
I think that's really what the self-scout part of it's for. You go through, your past experience. How can you apply it into the current game plan, and then you go. The worst thing we could do is to overreact to results, and I think it's so important. We talk a lot about it. I know I do. In the coach, you can't just grade based off result. Because you can't grade differently when you win versus when you don't. Because you're not really taking advantage of the best opportunity for growth. Because there's a way that we want to do things, and this time of year you have to win with technique and fundamentals. Scheme's important. Don't get me wrong. We have plenty of scheme. Our volume is definitely gives us plenty to challenge the opponent week in and week out. And I think. Anything, your natural reaction is to pull back when it doesn't happen, but you can pull back too much too. So I think just from experience, our volume still needs to be a competitive volume. We went a little higher in volume last week because we knew Washington were going to be playing them twice in 3 weeks. So, the mental errors may be a tad too high. So is that a reflection of that? So you're always trying to find that common ground to make sure there's not worse than when you're looking at your call sheet and you get out there and they've made some adjustments and you're not feeling great about your next call. So it puts you more into the in-game adjustment than you probably normally would be. So there's always some level of that, but you just it's a little bit of a balancing act, and I think it's just, once again, you just can't overreact on either side of the fence to results, because it's all about play style, production, the clarity of what you're getting done, from a technique and fundamental standpoint. And that's just the way we do it.
How have you seen Connor Williams over the past month respond to the change in role?
Tell you what, focused. Love the way Connor has handled, everything. And I thought he was a 12 play. He graded out very high in his participation last week. So he's dialed in and he hasn't blinked. So I appreciate that from him.
In your view, can that benefit a player sometimes to step away from what his role had been, be able to see the game differently? In the event one day, whenever that might be, he returns?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think so. I think you really. I know my experience is. You probably you have an opportunity to gain more from the adversity that you go through in this game, particularly whether it's schematically or lineup change, the fundamentals and technique we just talked about. So I think all those opportunities is a chance for anybody to grow, and I definitely think Connor will grow from his experience.
But as part of that too, again, you have perception becomes reality, and you seem to believe there's kind of a sense that any flag that flew is going to you can target him because he's done it before. So does it help for officials for a guy to step away for a few weeks and then maybe look at him differently if he does come back?
You talking about from the officiating perspective?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. No, of course. Maybe tomorrow we'll visit that, I guess.
Are you looking at starting him over McGovern this week?
Well, I think like just anything. I think Connor McGovern's done some good things. So it is Thursday, so we'll stay pat here. So.
Mike, I know you've talked about that 10-win threshold since you got to Dallas and previously, but when in your career did you first start thinking about it? What was the philosophy? And now that there's 17 games, does it go to 11?
I just think it could. That's Rich and I were just talking about this before we came in here. Because it may be 11 before you can look around and things are a little more clear. Just really, from my experience, early as a head coach, you're sitting here answering questions, in week 8, 9, and 10, and it's just like this is just such a waste of time because it's look how much it changed from last week to this week. So I think it's just an opportunity to keep everybody focused because it's your messaging is really about focal points. And, I get that everybody has to write the narratives on it, but I just never felt there was any value in talking about it before you needed to.
So the idea was that at that point you felt like the league picture was more clear?
16-game season, 10 wins would usually give you clarity of what you needed to do to get to where you wanted to go. Yeah.
The league enacted a resolution yesterday that will allow teams with a vacancy or change at head coach to be able to interview assistants within the final 2 weeks of regular season. What are your thoughts about that? And it's very possible that one of your coordinators or other coaches can be approached.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, career advancement's important. I think as the responsibility of head coach, you want to definitely make sure that you're in line with giving your assistant coaches to advance. I think that's definitely part of the opportunity in this league. So I don't ever want to stand in the way. And I just think, like anything, I think there's common sense applies to how they're doing it, and I think that's a good thing. Good. All right. Thank you.